Thanks for joining us. Our guest this morning is Davidson County Sheriff Daron Hall. We've got a phone call waiting through the break, and we'll take that from James. James, good morning. Hi, James.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning.
All right, I got a two-parter. The first one deals with personnel. We need to set up a officer pool for the whole country. And anybody going through the services, we're already training you, and we'll slip a little money your way and say, look, fella, you want to come here, you can come here. You want to go here, you can go here. The other one is drugs. Oh, my God, this is the dumbest thing humans have ever done, is to endeavor in some drugs. And thank God there's some that they can't get to, don't know how to process or get around. But I really think a lot of it should be legalized. Put in a pharmacy, and for your dumb butt to come get it, you need a life buddy and somebody that gives a damn about you. Because, man, some of this garbage, I can't believe people are this stupid to put in your body.
That's the issue of addictions. You know, there's some states like Oregon that have moved to decriminalize. I think you and I have talked about marijuana decriminalization, but I mean, they're decriminalizing in some ways some of these more serious drugs, and I don't know how that's working out, but what do you think? The whole idea, how many of the folks you have incarcerated, how many of them are drug related? And I'm not talking about marijuana, big time drugs.
Yeah, so I always say this. So if you interview 100 people who get arrested today, if you just interview them and really get down to the bare bones, 8 out of 10 of them are addicted to a substance when they get there.
Okay.
Just know
and the
that.
drug may be what landed them behind bars, or they committed a crime to buy the drugs.
I mean, you know, I say this all the time too, so it's not new. People don't break in your house because they want you or your stuff.
Yeah.
They break in your house because they're addicted to a substance that they need the money to buy.
Exactly.
So if you just take burglary, people don't burglarize because they wanted that big screen TV. You don't run down the street with a big screen TV. You run down the street with jewelry and guns that you can sell to get, you know, cocaine or heroin for your arm. So I believe 80% of all crime is drug related. What does that mean? You're doing it for a reason, because you're addicted to fill your fix. And so if you could remove the addiction, you could tear down all these facilities. I mean, there's just no reason. Very few people ever come to jail who are not using, or if you want to say, or mentally ill, not on medication or over using whatever substance of choice. There's just very few people in the world that do that, believe it or not.
Right.
And what I kind of, and James said this, and I know this is radical, and I don't think I'll ever live to see it happen, but you know, to be against legalizing it being drugs, if you're against that, which I premise we all kind of feel that we shouldn't let everything, then you're assuming that we're doing anything positive by arresting the guy who's using heroin tonight. I mean, arresting him is not doing anything.
No.
And so when I mean, granted, if he's breaking in my house, he needs to be arrested. I'm all for that. But the addiction of heroin and catching the user has never been.
He's going to get back out, and he's still going to be an addict. Because can you detox a heroin addict? I mean, obviously, if he's locked up long enough for you, but I mean, you don't have the treatment. I know you have mental health treatment, but
and methadone clinics, which are starting again. Which is, I mean, but the point is right. If you can get him off of the substance, and the arrest can help you do that over time, then maybe you've accomplished something. But I guess what I'm struggling with is, you know, that James was mentioning, you know, having basically a vending machine type of thing. As crazy as it sounds, I believe that the drugs of choice that are being sold right now on the streets, you can get anything you want. We can walk 2 minutes from this building and 2 minutes from where I'm headed and get just about anything you want. So we're pretending that there isn't a vending machine. It's just in some drug dealer's car or somewhere, or by the way, or some doctor's prescribing a bottle today. Legally prescribing me to have shoulder surgery, 82 pills or whatever my son was given, is
just crazy.
Equally painful. You know, it's just not really the way, and that's under a system that we believe is helping us. So I don't disagree. I think people who are using drugs are going to use drugs. How they use them, how they get their hands on it. A lot of evidence around the country. I remember when we were going to pass you and I have been here probably when we were going to pass the lottery. It was going to bring all this illegal gambling trade to the city. Well, that really didn't happen.
No.
I don't play the lottery. It gets to $1 billion the other day. I went and bought our staff tickets.
I do the same thing just for a kick. That's the only time. It's not worth it. If it's not $1 billion, I'm not interested.
I don't want that $1 million. That's right.
Let's take another call from Linda. Linda, good morning. Hi, Linda.
Good morning. Sheriff Hall, this has been going on with Metro schools for quite some time, where teachers that are retired can go back for a 100-day or 120-day, where your retiree insurance and all is intact, but then Metro doesn't have to pay those benefits.
Yes.
So that's been going on for for 15 plus years. And also might look into something similar to traveling nurses or traveling professionals, where you would allow them to work for 6 months and then release them, so to speak. They could be, vetted and all that kind of stuff. But just look into something like that, where it's that kind of a part-time job.
Yeah. How interesting is that, Linda? I mean, I have a friend whose sister is a traveling nurse, and they make good money. And think about it. If you put the ad out there nationwide, now the trick will be finding where they have a place to stay. But you said, hey, if you're a correctional officer and you're looking, you want to come and check out Nashville for 6 months, we've got a job here part-time for you or whatever. That's happening with nurses right now.
I think, and Linda's exactly right. I mean, I thought about that too, the traveling thing. If you'd have told me 10 years ago that a nurse would pack up and move to Florida and work, what do you mean? They don't know the hospital.
My friend's sister is in Boise for 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, and making good money. And then after that, she'll go someplace else.
Yep. And I think there's a couple of things going on here. I mean, again, we all would admit we're probably in any industry where whoever the folks are calling in or whatever line of work you're in, you're having staff concerns. Everyone is.
Yeah.
Our line of work is always tough to find. It always has been within the world of the employment market, but it's deeper than that for me. It's you call him my 28-year-old son, who is the age group we'd like to be looking for maybe. If you listen at what matters and you're trying to attract him to this line of work, really you could pay him all the money in the world. I think what he really is interested in. Look, it's about me, right?
Yep.
You got to work around my schedule.
Man, you have an understanding of it. People our age, if you will.
Right.
If you haven't come around to it yet, and
right.
I guess we see it because we have children like that.
That's right.
That's what it is. My son is not so interested anymore in, I wonder, where's the ambition to, and he's doing well. He's at WVLT in Nashville, in Knoxville, and he's in TV, and he's got a good career going, but it's not about the money for him. It's not like, I got to go make as much money. I want to make more. I've got all these. No, it's about his personal time, and he'll sacrifice the drive of working his butt off for some employer to make a lot of money for personal time where he can do what he wants. He may not be able to travel the world and buy the most expensive car, but that's not what he wants.
Right.
He wants to hang with his buddies, play video games, eat pizza. That's where he is right now.
Yeah.
But you think, oh wait, that's not what we were like. I don't know about you, but you and I both were more driven right out of college. And I'm not saying there's still not ambition there, but it's a different mindset. And if employers don't figure that out, they ain't going to have staff. It's just the way it is.
And even the government's even one step worse than that. Here's what else we brag about when we walk around and we're trying to at job fairs or recruiting. And you'll have a pension after 30 years. We'll give you some money every month. Well, they're not going to be there 30 years, and they don't want a pension. So you're selling them something they're not going to buy.
That's right.
And so the cost of that pension, which is enormous. I mean, at my age, having a pension is a good thing.
Yeah.
At a 28-year-old, he's going, no, I want 2 more days off, and I'm going to go to California once. I'm going to come back. I'll work 2 days, but also I want to go.
And pensions have gone the way of the dodo bird now anyway, for the most part.
Right. It's just it's an expense, and the government healthcare system is very expensive, very good benefits.
Yep.
But when you're selling that to a 28-year-old, 25-year-old, they don't care about that.
Right. And now they know there's options. Frankly, that's something that came out of the pandemic, where you can work from home, they can have more options moving forward, but it's not about the money for them anymore to that degree. I just don't think it is. And so it's harder to attract these people to work. And a good side of this, frankly, I mean, for years and years, and I've been lucky enough to work for good bosses, I think you have too. But you know what? The employer ain't holding all the cards no more.
No, right.
And that's just fine. Right. There have been people who have you want me to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week for you in this overtime to make you money and bust my butt? Yes, I know you're paying me. Shoes on the other foot now.
Right.
And the employers can say, oh, well, no, what you going to do if you don't have the staff?
That's exactly right.
It has, and you adapted. So what you're doing is giving them what they want, and you get what you want.
And I do think there's a balance. So what I'm saying is I don't know that we'd ever see it go everyone part-time. It may happen when I'm long gone. But I think in the police department.
Well, it really comes down to this. If you have a job that you truly love, you don't mind doing it 5 days a week. It's kind of the way I feel. Okay. And that's the one. But how many people have jobs they love?
Right.
The vast majority of Americans hate their work. And that's the fact.
And my theory is that let's use a 28-year-old.
Yeah.
At 38, he probably has wife and kids, I'm assuming. And guess what? It matters
a little more security.
Benefits,
right.
And I can almost see pension. So I envision the transition over as the 20s become 30s, not because they want to be long-term people, but they start realizing that value is pretty nice. If I leave here and go to my job at, Sony Records, there's not a pension over there. There's not a healthcare system. I have to pay for it over there. And I think we'll see that migration back and forth, which I love.
We'll have to, because the one thing that's lacking from this is that the whole idea of paying your dues, to some degree, to get to the plum job.
Right.
If you're not willing at least to work a bit at a job with the, lowing down the line, it's going to get a lot better. What I'm doing now is a lot different than what I did when I first got in the TV business. I liked it back then, but I'm making more money now and I get to do more. That paying of the dues. You don't just jump around and all of a sudden fall necessarily into a plum job. Sometimes you got to work your way up the ladder in certain businesses.
All right, so you're right. Let me give you a great complication we didn't think about. We got a crew of people who are part-timers. They're working shifts every night. Every job, we have 1,000 employees. Every job we have, we bid it to our employees first. No one comes from the outside to the job. So let's make it up. We have a counselor's job, which is a promotional type of job. It's open. Someone just left, retired. One thing we didn't think about, do the part-timers have access? Can they bid for that job? Because we'd always made it internally focused, and the answer is yes. So now we have part-timers bidding for full-time. You can't go part-time in these jobs.
Meaning that if they decide, but that's that's kind of like a step up. They're part-time, but that's a job maybe that's really what I'd like. Now they're competing then with the full-time staffers?
Yes. And we had this internal political struggle with that, but we said, yes, let's let them go and see what happens.
I think that's the right way, because then that's also bringing on more full-timers.
And then they move from part-time to full-time because I want to be a counselor. I didn't really want to. And so we're just learning some promotional and even the other thing, Nick, is the discipline is easier. If you're not performing as a part-timer, we have no patience with that.
And you're gone.
It's an honor to get to work part-time because we believe we're helping. So we don't go through this whole complicated discipline system.
Sheriff, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Nick.
What an interesting conversation. It's just about the way the world is changing as well. And you see it sometimes happening first in the jail. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you.
We'll talk to you again soon.
We'll do.
All right. Bye-bye. We'll take a break, have a programming note, and I'll remind folks, Carla's going to get mad at me because we didn't talk about Christmas.
Here, I'll give you my notes.
All right. I'll have that for you when we get back. Sheriff, very involved with it. Stay with us.